Hello and good Woch. What's a Shabbos? Mashas Sarah. We will start with Hashem with a story, quite a famous story. Baal Shem HaKodesh, Chusat Hagen Aleinu. The Bezat Hashem will be blessed with the wonderful week, wonderful month. Tomorrow, Monday is Erev Rosh Chodesh. So here we go. It was, as everybody knows, it was the custom of the Baal Shem HaKodesh to be Makar of the simple people. This is known to be especially important during that period of time because historically the period that preceded the Baal Shem HaKodesh, which was one of the important, most open benefits, as though I don't know even how to call it, of the movement of Baal Shemtov was the fact that before the Baal Shemtov came to the scene, there was a growing chasm between the Talmidei Chachamim, the learners, how they are portrayed, in like the clothes in Broad, Vilna, and in many other places, which Baruch Hashem was steeped in Torah and Vodah and everything. On the other hand, there were the simple people. Now, we cannot imagine today, what does it mean, simple people, of 250 years ago? We're talking about people that basically knew nothing about Judaism. They lived many times alone in a Goyish surrounding. Maybe they would go to the big cities for Yom Neirav, Shana, and Kippur. But basically, they were practically cut off from the leading edge of the scholarly part of the Jewish nation. And it was Dafka that when Baal Shemtov came, one of the big changes that he made was to bring in the simple people into the fold by pointing out how important they were. And Bezat Hashem will talk about, first of all, we'll tell the story, and Bezat Hashem, then we'll talk about it a little bit. So, we said that the way of the Baal Shem HaKodesh was to be Mekar, the simple people, and because of that, there were a lot of people that flocked to him. And the great Talmidim, the great Geonim, the Tzaddik and the Baal Shem Tov had 60 Talmidim, which called like unbelievable. Rabbeinu said if he had 60 such Talmidim, I remember what it is he said, but Mashiach, whatever, But these great Goyim were not always very happy of this particular conduct of the Baal Shemtov. Even though many times the Baal Shem HaKadosh would send, many of them, dafka to simple people to learn the midah of tmimis and bitochen and simple emunah, avos Yisrael and so forth. But still, they cannot. It was very difficult for them to accept his anhaga in Kir Rechoikim. One of those was Shabbosim. There was an incredible, or rather, I don't know, incredible happenstances that really shook the holy Chevra of the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And there were many guests that came, amongst them many, many simple people. People that work as, I don't know, as they were tax collectors, they were farmers, they were, craftsmen, or whatever it is, people that work in farmers, people that work, grew animals and chicken and people that, traders in the market and whatnot. And in the Suda, the evening Suda of that Shabbos, Baal Shem HaKadosh has shown great skarvus to these simple guests. And to one, he gave his glass, to drink a little bit of the wine that remained from the Kiddush. From another one to another one, he gave to drink from the special cup that the Baal Shem Tov had. He would make Kiddush. To a third one, he gave a slice of his challah that he made a moitzi. And then he opened his eyes and he said, sorry. The others he gave fish and flesh that he from his bowl, and all the different these kind of things. The minig Baal Shem HaKadosh was that the simple guests would come to Sudas. There would only be at his table from 2 out of the 3 Sudas. So the Shlishis before Tzia Shabbos, and I'm sorry. The simple people would be only in Erev Shabbos and Shalosh Sudas. The second Suda in the morning was just for the Talmidim and the Chevra Kadisha that came to him. The guests could not come in. They couldn't even come in and stand and watch. I mean, they couldn't even do that. So, if you want to understand what's the big spritz that Hashem gave one of the people to drink from his cup, or whatever. There was a story by Rabbeinu that one of his Hasidim, his name was Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba was a shochet. But if you think that we know what the shochet in those times means, this Rabbi Abba was a big mekubal, and he actually came to Rabbeinu and asked him. He said as follows: being that his main parnasa was shechting chicken, for Yom Tov, and he lived quite far from Breslov. So he asked Rabbeinu if it was okay if he would stay at his house until close to Yom Tov, and then transport to Breslov by saying one of the holy names. So first of all, you get to understand what kind of level of Talmidim we're talking about. And so Rabbeinu said, no, don't do that. To me, you travel with wagons and horses. How you come to me? And so he and his son, took off like, I don't know, like 2 weeks before Shoshana. And Rabbi Abba saved his money and he bought a special silver cup, silver becher, for Rabbeinu as a present. And as they kept on going, bad weather ensued. They got stuck in one place after another. And then it was basically like a day before, 2 days before, Rosh Hashanah. And they were not far from Breslau, but they could not get there. It was raining. The roads were muddy, and no wagon driver agreed to take them to Breslau. So Rabbi Abba had to sell this silver cup and paid an exorbitant amount of money to a wagon driver to actually take him to Breslov to get there. They got mamish Erev Rosh Hashanah before Shoshana setting. So after the davening of Rosh Hashanah, Rabbeinu was sitting by the Tish. So Rabbeinu turned over to Rabbi Abba and his son that just made it. And he looked at them and he said to Rabbi Abba, first of all, I'm going to gouge out the eyes of the Samach Mem as a price for this cup that he took away from you. And secondly, he said to Rabbi Abba, for you, it's not worthwhile for me to do you any favors in this world anymore. But to the son, he says, Rabbeinu took a soup spoon of his soup and gave it to him to drink. And he drank it. Rabbi Abba passed away that year, and his son became incredibly rich. Like Shiners, that feeds all the people, something, along those lines. Just to give you an idea what it means to have a soup spoon from the plate of the tzaddik, or drinking something from the kois of the Baal Shemtov, or something like this. And this he was giving to the simple people. And so the Talmidim just could not fathom, how can the Baal Shem Tov possibly do this? So, and as I said, this second Suda, the morning Suda, the Baal Shem Tov was sitting with his Talmidim, the simple people, the guests were not allowed to be in Sudas, in the morning. The Kiddush Rabbah is basically the main Suda of Shabbos. That's the halacha. People should know that. That's one of the reasons why people should not eat before they get the balabais, the zmoitzim, eats from his piece of a moitzi, specifically then for the second Suda of Shabbos, because that's the main Suda of Shabbos, more than the night and more than Shalosh Sudas. People don't know that. So the Chevra Kadisha was all sitting there. The Maggid of Mizrich was sitting there. The Maggid of Polnoah was sitting there. The Pinchas of Koretz was sitting there. All the Halik Talmid of Baal Shem HaKodesh, each one was sitting in his own place, the way the Baal Shem Tov had seated them. And then Baal Shem Tov started saying Torah, and his Talmidim were, obviously, each one of them was Shishim Giborim Baal Shem HaKadosh, and they were like in like enjoying the glow of the Shechina, the chesed that they had of being the Talmidim of the Baal Shem HaKadosh. And Dafka, during that particular time, some of these tzaddikim of the Talmid Baal Shem were wondering, like, why does Baal Shem to be Mekar of these people? Obviously, Israel, to strengthen them, whatever it is, but why does he be Mekar of these simple people so much? They don't even understand what Baal Shem Tov is doing, what he's about. Suddenly, while they were thinking that, the face of the Baal Shem HaKadosh changed. And he said, in a place that Baal Tshuva stand, Tzaddikim Gemurim cannot stand. There are two ways to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One is the avodah of the tzaddikim. The second derech is the avodah of the Baal Tshuva. The avodah of the simple people is a madriga Baal Tshuva because they are very low by themselves. They're very humble. Then he started singing with tremendous dveikus. The people that had those thoughts in their hearts understood the Baal Shem Tov was speaking to them. When they finished, the Baal Shem Tov opened his holy eyes and he told them to sing another nigun and told them to close their eyes. While they were closing their eyes and they were singing, they heard an unbelievable music and song, and singing with unbelievable supplications and longing. One was saying, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Imas Hashem Tahiras, Kesef Tzaraf, another one, Baruch Olamim, Hashem Naseini, Chonaki, Yoisai. Please start to, help me, bring me to you. The one, Gewalt, Ribono Shel Olam, and so forth and so on. And the Chevra Kadisha, being the tzaddikim that they were, when they heard, the voices and the singing and the supplications, with such outpouring of the hearts of the souls, they were shaking, they were mama shaking. And the eyes were closed, but they were tearing, they were crying. They basically sitting there and crying, and their heart shattered just from the voices of the supplications and the chanunim and the begging that they heard. And like each one of them, begged in his own heart, Alavai, I should reach this particular madriga. How do we know the story? The Maggid of Mizrich was at that Suda then. And he said to his Talmud, the Baal Tanya, that at that particular time, he felt such longing, klois hanefesh, and he missed the Kadosh Baruch Hu so much. He craved the Kadosh Baruch Hu so much that he has never, ever experienced such craving and longing to Kadosh Baruch Hu that he felt during that particular time. He said that his own shoes were wet from sweat and tears of tshuva from the bottom of his heart. There's a Magi the Kodesh Mizrich told the Baal Tani. When they finished singing, the Baal Shem HaKadosh was sitting with this tremendous dveikus, and he said, that singing that you heard is the song and melody of the simple people. They're saying Tehillim, Tmimus, or depth of heart with simple amunah. So the Maggid, the great Maggid of Mizrich, said that for a long time afterwards, he was in tremendous tsar, that he was even like having any kinds of doubts in his mind about why his Rebbe, the Baal Shem HaKadosh, was mekar of these simple people. He couldn't calm down. How could I? Until one night, this is what he told about the time. Until one night, he saw, he is whatever it is he did, is Aliyas Neshama, the Magi did, and he saw in the Cholos, the chambers of Gan Eden, one specific Heichal that Tinokesh and Besrabban sing there, learning Chumash. Moshe Rabbeinu is the Rebbe. He's learning with them. And the babies, the children, the little kids, they learn Pashas Lech Lecha. And that was just a week ago. 2 weeks ago. Moshe Rabbeinu explains that. How is it possible? Avraham Avinu said, how do I know that my offspring should inherit the land? So Moshe Rabbeinu explained to the babies in Gan Eden, how is it possible that Avraham Avinu had a doubt? Kadosh Baruch Hu promised him. He says, how do I know that I will actually inherit the land? So he says, this kind of doubt comes from the side of the body itself. It's not even the nefesh, it's out of the body itself. Even a holy body, such as Avraham Avinu. So when the Maggid heard that from the side of the body, there could be some thoughts, some Yehurim, after his Rebbe, the Baal Shem HaKodesh, in that particular Suda. Rabbeinu HaKodesh, he said that Hashem Yisborach is going to conquer the war only with simple people who say Tehillim, not with the big tzaddikim, not with people who go with chochmas, not big tzaddikim, not people who go with, deep understandings and this and Kabbalah, whatever. No, just a simple, obviously somebody who learns Kabbalah is going between this is even greater. But it says Kadosh Baruch Hu will win all the wars in this world with simple Jews that say Tehillim. And he gave a mashal. Rabbeinu gave a mashal to that. Once a great king went in the forest, hunting, and he was, he was wearing simple garments, obviously king's quality, but nevertheless, kind of garments that you can go in the forest, whatever. And suddenly it was raining. Everybody was drenched. Everybody went, Mamash Mabel, was deluge. And all the ministers, everybody ran, to the own direction from the fear of the storm that came. And actually they left the king alone. And I'm looking alone, and he was in great danger. So the king was looking for some kind of a shelter, and he went in this forest, and the forest was very thick, until he found this house of a villager. And the king came into the house, and there was a simple villager there. And what the villager said, he saw a person who was drenched. So he took the king, and he brought him in, and he had to take his clothes off, and he set him next to the fireplace, and he gave him dry clothing, and he gave him something hot to drink, a very simple Suda, and he put more wood into the fire, and he set the bed for the person, even who it was, it's for the person, so he can sleep next to the fireplace. And it was so sweet for the king, to the point that he has never ever experienced such sweetness, because he was so tired, so exhausted after all the ordeal. Now, the ministers, they looked for the king until they found him sleeping by the villager. And they wanted the king, to come back with them to his house. So the king said, since you did not save me in my time of trouble, only this farmer, he has done everything that he could, and he mamish made my life, worth living, enjoyment I've never felt. The thanks belong to him. He is the one that will bring me back to the royal palace. with his wagon, with his simple clothing. He will put me back on the throne. He's the one who's going to put the crown on top of my head. Rabbeinu finished this Heilige Mashal and he said, in the Ikvus and the Mashiach will be a big flood, not flood of water, but flood of apicorsis, of heinous heresy. And it will spritz apicorsis even to the heart of the kosher people. And this is the thing that was represented by the ministers, the royal ministers, dispersing all over. Because with Chochmas, it is not possible to find yourself an advice with mechazik yourself. Only the simple Yidden, let's say Te'ilim Pshitas, they can hold on against apicorsis. That's why when Mashiach will come, sooner nowadays, Bezat Hashem, they will be the ones to give him the case of Alucha. As I said before, the story of the fact that Baal Shem Tov was Mekarvel was some simple Yidden. We saw throughout history that when there came time of repressions, and the Goyim were hunting us down and persecuting us, and forcing people to convert. The smart people, those who understood, are the ones that fell. They found that either they actually converted, or else they became Haranos, they didn't want to give up the status, whatever. But the simple people that gave over their lives to Kadosh Baruch Hu, simply, straight, no chochmas. This brings us to a certain nekuda that today in shul we're learning, and I was learning with David Gilsman was learning this Peremaisius, Maisiv Ben HaMelech, Ben HaShivcha Shishchalfu, the exchanged children, a story that I am very, very close to. And that story is a workshop all its own. But the main nakuda of this particular story is the fact that every person is his own world. Duh, thank you very much. No, we know that. No. Every person, in this particular story, there's a part where he is in charge of animals, of cattle, and I don't know, the two oxen, whatever it is, run into the forest. And he's running into the forest, and he's scared of his boss, and he's scared to run after the animals because they're going to the forest. And he actually thinks in himself and says, like, if I go back to my employer, he was so afraid of him, he says, he's going to kill me. If I'm going to, and Rabbeinu says over there, parenthetically, he says, it's because he was a coward, and that's why he thought that person's going to kill him, that his boss is going to kill him. He says, if I keep on following the animals, then the animals in the forest are going to maul me and eat me up. And his maskana was, something, he kept on chasing the behaviors. It doesn't really matter right now why he chose to pursue the animals, which actually turned out to be the most important decision of his life, one of them. that fear that he had from his employer is not only illogical, it's insane. How can you compare? There were other shepherds there. They can save you. You can make some kind of a deal with him, so deduct from my pay and, the cost of these animals. You can't, you can't debate. You can negotiate with bears. You can with bears, anyone can negotiate with Hamas. It's like, but being that in his own mind, that was a 50-50 proposition either way, actually enabled him to pursue the animals and no go back for whatever reason. That was the right decision to do. But the main nekuda that we learn from this point alone is that my emotional complexes, the kind of abuse, for lack of a better word, I don't know if there is a better word, abuse that I went through, or I think I went through, or I went through to an extent in my house, in the places where I learned, the experiences that I went through, the kind of deficiencies that I have. It could be ADD, it could be, some kind of autistic spectrum, whatever it is, or any kind of deficiency, any kind of emotional or physical incapacity. We tend to be the prisoners of that thing, of saying, like, if only I didn't have that, how much better off I would be. If only I could learn, if only I had patience to sit down and learn, if only I could do this, if only I could do that, if only I didn't have, a nature that pulls me towards addictions, or whatever it is that I am, or I may be grappling with. It's not a mistake. It's not that when a Kodesh Baruch Hu created everybody, but when I was created, Kodesh Baruch Hu was out to lunch and didn't pay attention. No. That story teaches us that it is that emotional paranoia that the true prince had that enabled him to chase after the animals and ultimately come to the kingdom. Had he been a normal person, who says, like, I don't have any halachically any rishus, to keep on pursuing the animals. It's pikuach nefesh. I'll go back to the, we'll deal, we'll take care of it somehow. As a person, we can talk. But because he was so paranoid, because he was so scared, he was able to come to his tachlis, which means your drawbacks, my drawbacks, your incapacities, your infirmities, your complexes, whatever, it can be mental problems, psychological problems, physical problems, whatever it is that you want. This is a specific tool that I have and that you have in order to live and to be the kind of person that each and every one of us is supposed to be. So sometimes a person is born into the simplest family. Sometimes a person is born to a very hybrid family. Sometimes a person needs for his tikkun to be born, a prodigy and a genius. And other person needs to be suffering from emotional problems. whatever it is that we want. That is the Keli. That is, as we said, the blood Gemara, the page of Gemara that you were given to prepare in order to fix whatever it is that you needed to fix. That is the lesson of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, being Mekarev, the Pshutei Am. Not just that they were Mekarev other people, that they had their own benefits. Of course they had. But every single person, his business in this world is totally divorced from anybody else in this world, including his family, including his family members. Yes, you have to take care of your family members. Yes, you have to get married. Yes, you have to take care of your children. Yes, you have to make amends to people, to your family, to whatever it is you need to do. But your particular tikkun, the kind of things that you went through in your lifetime, the kind of deficiencies that typify you are not a mistake. You are exactly who you need to be. And the main thing is to go about it with tmimis and pshitis, simply, without any chochmas, open up a tehillim, and start saying tehillim. If you find yourself saying most of the tehillim without meaning anything, take one pasuk. This is one pasuk. Okay, this is what I could do. Oh, big deal. From the whole tehillim, one pasuk. Yes, it's great. You don't know what it does. We already visited, Baruch Hashem, quite a few Sichos Haran that were dealing with the meaning of just a single word or a single thought. Bezat Hashem, let us take a look at the Sicha for today, and Hashem for this week. And here we go. Sicha Reish Yud Dalet, 214. I heard in Rabbeinu's name that he said that when a person asks the tzaddik if to do something, where he should do something that has a mysterious nefesh, for Hashem Yisbarach, it is befitting to tell him and to order him not to do it. And even so, the one who is asking does not have to obey the tzaddik on this. And I also heard in his name that everything that the tzaddik orders a person, you have to do what he says, except when the tzaddik tells him not to go on a Shoshana by him. This you don't have to be mekayim, you don't have to keep. When it says Erev Shoshana, it is befitting to give money on Pidyon Nefesh, to make a Pidyon Nefesh. There is a certain point, a person is dealing in his life with difficulties that he cannot overcome. And a person can feel stuck in a rut. There comes times, usually a person should be patient and find ways to get in and ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu and just wait. But there are certain times, and only you can know when those times are, where you just need to forge ahead. I mean, it seems like it'll never happen. I cannot make it happen. I'm still stuck on this particular, route. You have to do something to move ahead. Be moisef nefesh. If you are in any kind of habit, I don't know what it is, watching movies or I don't know, whatever, and you can't get out of it. You have to be moisef nefesh. That decision means you need to do something in order to break it, even if you fall down from it. You try and you fall. Try again. You fall again, try again. You fall again and try again. And don't give up. Because in each and every one of us, our heads, there's a certain point that we say, this is as far as I can go. I cannot do any better than that. And the truth is that we can and we should, because we don't know the strength, our own strength. Says in Shir Noim, it's like a mouse that is pulling an elephant by its trunk because of the nonsense that the elephant does not realize his own power. Sometimes you need to jump in. Sometimes you need to jump in. And even when you jump in, give money al pidyon. How do you give money al pidyon? Whatever it is that you have, any money, you give it to anyone, and you say al pidyon. That's it. You don't need more than that. And keep on doing it again and again and again. That opens up the possibilities for you to do things that you were not able to do until today. To break from that rope that you were in, stuck in a rut, and you can't just go, just move ahead. Tzedakah, alapidyon, and jump ahead, forge ahead. On that particular, you know when you are stuck in a cul-de-sac. When it seems to you that you're stuck up a creek without a paddle. Sometimes you need to move. Moshe Rabbeinu says, he cried out to Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, what are you crying? You're crying out to the Be'er Bnei Yisrael v'Yisrael. Tells these people, just forge ahead, move ahead. Kadosh Baruch Hu B'ezrat Hashem will grant us the courage to overcome our lack of enthusiasm, our wanting to keep that little, option in, and to make a conscious decision. Because of the tzaddikim, because of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, forge ahead. This life is all about being good at being a Jew. That's it. Nothing else matters. You need to be a top-notch Jew. Not a top-notch vis-a-vis other people, vis-a-vis yourself. Don't compromise on that. You have to know when to push, when not to push, yes. But forge ahead. There's nothing else to do in this world except that. Because Baruch Hu B'ezrat Hashem will B'ezrat Hashem give all the soldiers that are fighting great miracles to save them from everything that they need to be saved. Well, B'ezrat Hashem will grant all the decision makers, the wisdom to make the right decisions. And B'ezrat Hashem, Kadosh Baruch Hu should give each and every one of us the seichel amiti to stop having these false rachmanas on ourselves and forge ahead. Just forge ahead. There is a tendency for complacency, but that's good enough. That's fine. Let's not go overboard, Pen yasol la'alosei Hashem, There are certain times where you need to forge ahead. You need to make a decision, I'm going. Hashem should help us without Hashem. Hashem, gewaldige week. With Hashem, we have a great month. Chodesh Kislev, Haran. And by the way, I just want to throw a little something at you for whoever it is. Right now, we're in the winter, and the days are very short. And Reb Nosson says that it is very advisable every now and then to fast, just for a day. Mincha before, be makabel fasting yourself, next day don't eat. The day is over by 5:15, whatever it is, you can already eat. It's nothing. And Nosson says it can save a person from a tremendous and immense amount of bitter suffering. As harsh and bitter suffering, that's his language. Yisurim, koshim, v'morim. Just every once in a while, take a day, mincha before, be makabel tanis. Right now, it's the winter, it's easy to do, here, there. It's a door opener for everything that you want to do. God should help us all, should have Hashem a good voch and a good month. Hashem, bracha, atzlacha. Hashem is to see Bina Besamikdosh, and Bias Meshech Tzidkenu Bezat Hashem, B'Kobi Aminu, Amen. Bezat Hashem.